That's the thing I kind of want to address too. I feel like whenever it's like this, where it's a time crunch, it's gonna rush your experience. You're gonna feel like, oh, I need to find a home quick because it's gonna run out and I want to be able to qualify. That's the kind of things that creates buyer remorse, y'all. You don't think this program is gonna create that? When you are slowly getting the home, you're gonna get buyer remorse because you know why? You look back and you're like, man, this actually wasn't the home that I really wanted. Okay, so if you guys go to calhfa.cal.gov/dream, you can find everything you want about this program. You guys don't have to take our word for it and study it.
So when you guys log in to the CalHFA website, this is important because here's the thing. Anytime there's something good, there's always going to be, unfortunately, a group of people that's going to be very advantageous, and they'll try to make you believe that there's another way to get this. There is like a shortcut and a short line. There is not, guys. And it says very clear here, stay safe and avoid scams. Only access the voucher website from the CalHFA Dream For All webpage or through your application email. Scammers may try to convince you that they can help you or approve your chances for a fee. CalHFA will never charge a fee to apply for the Dream For All voucher. So please keep in mind, you do not have to pay for getting that voucher. And really, in order to get that voucher, go ahead and go through the program, okay? You go into the website, take some time, watch the video. The video will walk you through the whole entire process, and it's not like you don't get pre-qualified first. You got to go get pre-qualified with your lender. Every lender can actually do this loan, so you got to make sure they're on the approval list. So there's a list of things that you guys have to do. These are the documents. This is the part that's different from the last time, Chia. You, as the person buying the home, have to be proactive. You have to create your own account on the CalHFA. You have to have a lender pre-approval letter. Now, most pre-approval letters look very different depending on which lender you use, but this is the lender pre-approval letter template, okay? Your lender has to fill this out for you and give it to you so that you can submit it when you create your portal. On top of that, you have to submit your government ID, proof of citizenship, or proof of residency in the States. All of that, you have to have a utility bill or a cell phone bill or insurance bill, something that shows proof of your current address that you are a current resident in California. And if you plan on having multiple people on your loan, you should collect all of these documents for each person. You gotta do this very thoroughly. The other thing to note too, when you're in, go all the way. We had a client who was registering for this program and she left and she's like, okay, I'll just finish it later. Guess what? It already locked her out after that. I don't know if it's a system glitch. She's waiting for the email to come back, but spend some time, take a look at that and do it as thoroughly as you possibly can to get you the best chance. On this side, you'll see on the phase one outcome. So on the first phase, they had $300 million for this program. Of that $300 million, of all the residents is in California, 2,182 homeowners actually were able to utilize this program, which is a wonderful thing. I remember this very vividly, and because she and I were talking about this when it first came out, we were super excited and everything like that. Didn't have all these guidelines. Obviously, because of that situation, they changed it to give it a little bit more fairness, right? It was gone in 12 days. It was a madhouse. So it will hopefully be a lot more fair.
Notice how it says for California. They didn't say Sacramento County. They didn't say El Dorado County. They said California program. That means everybody in California is eligible for this Dream For All. So can you imagine how many buyers are out there that are first-time home buyers that lives in California? That's your competition.
Absolutely. And it's a lottery system this time, guys. Once you have the voucher, it's not surefire. At the end of the month, they're going to pull your name out of the hat and you have 6 days to purchase the house. If you don't, then you forfeit that. It goes to the next person and everything like that.
That's the thing I kind of want to address too. I feel like whenever it's like this, where it's a time crunch, it's gonna rush your experience. You're gonna feel like, oh, I need to find a home quick because it's gonna run out and I want to be able to qualify. That's the kind of things that creates buyer remorse, y'all. Like, there's been many times when I see buyers and they tell me, oh, I got buyer remorse, and they back out. And it's like, you don't think this program is gonna create that? It's gonna create that. You're gonna have FOMO, and then FOMO is gonna kick in for a minute, and then when you are slowly getting the home, you're gonna get buyer remorse because you know why? You look back and you're like, man, this actually wasn't the home that I really wanted. I just felt so rushed. And then now you get upset, you get jaded from the process, you blame your agent for rushing you, you blame your lender for rushing you, but really it's because the program, there's a time limit.
Correct. So don't use this as your main source to get your home. The same thing as last time. Make sure you qualify qualify for a regular program. And if you like the monthly payments, great. And if you get this, wonderful. It's a great program. Everybody wants it because it is a great program. There are criteria for this. So these are the eligibility, guys. You have to be either a citizen or a national of the United States, qualified alien as defined in that section. There's income, credit criteria, certain things that your lender should already know and share with you. You must be a first-time home buyer. You do also have to take the home buyer educational course, and counseling is not required anymore for non-first-time home buyers, okay? But for the CalHFA, this is the guidelines for CalHFA in general, but with the shared appreciation, specifically the Dream For All one, you have to take 2 courses. So it's the regular first-time home buyer course, and then also the shared appreciation here. Many times people forget that. Most of my people for the first time, they all did that. We all squared that away. My people were super ready. They were disappointed too, guys. And this time around, even though I sent out the emails like, hey, it's coming back. Do you guys want to take that chance of coming back? And I was like, nope. They're already like, nope, we already know from the last time it's not going to happen. It's okay. We're going to go with the regular one and we'll go from there. So let's talk about what's the definition of what they mean by a first-time buyer. A first-time buyer is defined as a borrower who has not had an ownership interest in principal residence or resided in the home owned by a spouse during the last 3 years. Not only can you not be a first-time home buyer and have not owned a home for the last 3 years, let's say you had a spouse that owned a home. If they owned a home in the last 3 years, you also don't qualify. The next part that's different, you also have to be first generation home buyer. Now, you haven't had to own a home in the last 3 years, but your parents cannot have owned a home in the last 7 years, and to the best of the homeowner's knowledge, whose parents, biological or adopted, do not have any present ownership interest in a home in the United States, or if deceased whose parents did not have an ownership interest at the time of death in a home in the United States, or an individual who has at any time been placed in foster care or institutional care, type out of home residential care for large groups of children by non-related caregivers. So take a look at these stipulations. If you know you fall into these categories, like, oh shoot, okay, then this one's not for you. If you have a situation and you're purchasing a home that the seller just needs time, they need a little bit lengthier of a time to stay in their home, they cannot stay longer than that 60 days after closing.
So initially, what was the purpose of this program in the first place? Like, who was it supposed to give help to?
So it really was supposed to give help to those who truly are in need. It's supposed to be a pay it forward. That's why it's called shared appreciation. The reason why you're giving back that shared appreciation is so it pumps more into the program so that it can continue to grow, and more people down the line will be able to obtain this type of loan, right? So I created this chart, guys. This is kind of a comparison. So I'm just gonna right now briefly talk about the Dream For All program. Let's just say, for instance, you're purchasing a house for $500,000 and they're allowing you the maximum down payment assistance of 20%, which equals to $100,000. Typically you bring in that yourself, but here they're going to help you with that as well. The interest rate was 6.75 with the principal, interest, property tax, home insurance. Your monthly payment is $3,231.81. This is the estimate. Keep in mind too, guys, with any CalHFA program, there is always going to be an origination fee, okay? And typically on average it's about 2%. Even though you don't have to come in with down payment just yet, you're going to have to come in with closing costs, and closing costs all the way down here is a little over $19,000. As a down payment assistance, that's what you come in with. Personally, I feel like, okay, if you put this amount, that's the skin in the game that you need to put in order to have this. That's not so bad when they're putting in everything else for you guys, okay?
Yeah.
This program's so great. For less than $20,000, you can have a $500,000 house. That's pretty crazy. Can you do this with other programs? Yes, guys, absolutely. If you were to put 3% down here, you can see that's $15,000 with closing costs. That's not that far off. I'm putting this back to normal. So the way that the Dream For All program works is, say for instance, I'm going to use a clean, easy number. In 5 years, you decide you're going to sell your house, and now your house is worth $650,000. The original purchase price is $500,000, which means the equity that you built from $500,000 that you bought it to the new sales price of $650,000, the equity built is $150,000. The first loan that you got is $400,000, but in 5 years you owe a little over $375,000. So that's the first part you got to pay off when you sell. The second part you pay off is that $100,000. Again, not free money. You're going to have to pay that back. And in this equity share payoff, you're going to have to pay back that 20%. So 20% of 150 is $30,000. When you go sell your house with all the agent fees, closing costs and whatnot, you end up with a little over $100,000. So keep in mind, you put in a little over $19,000. In 5 years, you profited over $81,000. Is that good or is that good? There's no other way to say it. This is the reason why it's so popular.
Yeah, I feel like the only good time a program like this is beneficial, where it's beneficial now and in the long game, is in the market that we're seeing right now, to where appreciation's on the rise. You know, they're gambling on that being always the case. But if you end up being in the area to where appreciation might not be the case and it's just pretty stagnant from when you bought it, how does that look like?
So if you don't need to sell, don't. If you haven't built any appreciation, why would you? There's cost to selling, right? But if you're in a dire situation, no choice, you gotta move. Work moved you over to another state and whatnot, and you just have to. There is no appreciation whatsoever. There's nothing that you have to share, but you still have to pay back that second loan. So if you're upside down and you put in 19,000 but you just lost 30,000, because there's a possibility that your home won't be worth 500,000. What if it's worth only 40 or 50? So you can hold on to it.
So we had a question, right, about this, and she said that, what if you don't sell at all? Or what if you don't refinance at all?
So you don't have to, but your first mortgage, say you have a 30-year loan. After 30 years, guys, now the second part is a balloon payment. So you got to figure out how to pay that off right away in 30 years.
And that was my question for you, because the assistance gives you basically the length of your loan in order to pay that off. Somewhere along the line, so that you maybe 25 years in, you know, if you haven't saved the money or whatever, you can refinance your house after you've paid enough of it down, or if there hasn't been a lot of appreciation, can you put that $100,000 or whatever that original assistance was into that loan so you can pay that off?
Yeah, you can. So when you know that in 30 years it's almost done and everything like that, and you still haven't had a chance to save up to pay that off and everything, that's okay. Go ahead and get a refinance out for that.
I remember last year when we had some clients that was going through this program, me and Lisa was actually letting them know about a exit strategy, right? If they utilize this program of, hey, now that you're a homeowner and you got this Dream For All program, budget for it. So if you don't want it to be one big lump sum at the end, because when you're planning on refinancing in 5 years or selling it, or even 30 years for that fact, you don't want a big old chump change coming off on your equity to pay off all of this, start putting money to the side. Pay it off down sooner. And then that way, by 5 years or whenever you're ready to plan your exit strategy, you have that money saved up on the side already to just whip it out and pay for it. You know, if you do that, then at least it's on top of your mind and you're gonna get it covered, and you won't be so like worn out when you have to take out that big old lump sum. But I'm gonna say this because we hear it all the time, right, Lisa? If you think that in a year or even 6 months after you own your home and you forgot about that supplemental tax bill, think about how you're gonna feel when you refinance or sell 2 years, 5 years down the road. You're gonna be like, what? I have another lien on my house?
Yes,
That's
I'm
what's
so glad
gonna
you brought that up.
happen, right? Everybody that we
Yes,
talk to
yes.
that has CalHFA or similar programs to this, they say that all the time. Oh my gosh, I have a second lien on my house that I forgot. I did not account for that. Okay, you know what? Scratch it. I'm not going through with the refinance anymore, or scratch it. I'm not going through with the sell anymore. You know, because things happen. People don't always think about these things.
It's so funny because like I've seen this happen several times. Okay, when I'm doing the loans and everything like that, I have people who are selling their house, especially the regular CalHFAs where they're giving 3 to 3.5%. It's easier to forget, right? Because that amount is much, much smaller. I hope people who are in the Dream For All program, I mean, it's a lot of money, right? So if you're getting $100,000, let's hope that you don't forget it. And the reason why people forget it, because it's out of sight, out of mind. One, it doesn't show up on your credit report.
Like student loans.
Right, exactly. And the thing is, your lender is not required to pull any type of property profile or anything like that on your current house. So say for instance, if you purchase this house with this program and you say, okay, I'm going to sell a house on 123 Main Street so I can get house 456 B Street. We're only required to take a look at what you need to do in order to qualify for B. Because it doesn't show up on your credit report, we don't know. We don't know until you tell. But if you forget, how do we know, right? So when does that show up? Unfortunately, it shows up at the 11th hour sometimes, because now the title company has pulled that preliminary report on your other house. See, we as a lender, when you get in your second house, we only get the preliminary report for that second house. And even if there was 2 different sellers, this has happened too, with there's 2 different sellers. It's nothing to do with you. We don't get that report from the seller's house. Then they pull the report. When they pull it and they say, oh, shoot, the seller doesn't have enough to pay off their lien. So now it's all stalled, buyers getting so like disappointed and everything like that. It's no fault of their own. But when you forget about these things happen. We're not even talking about just the CalHFA. There's sometimes solar liens.
You know, you gotta do your due diligence, and sometimes some of these liens that Lisa was talking about doesn't show up on the credit report, doesn't show up until we actually check the prelims and do all these report pull-ups. And we're not bashing on the Dream For All program. We're just saying, again, it's not free money. That 20% that they're giving you, they're obviously gonna need it back in the future, because that's how these programs work. It's a pay it forward, like what Lisa mentioned earlier. Is to help those in need that really need this program, that don't think that homeownership is even within grasp. It's for those group of people, and it's a great program for those group of people, you know, because sometimes day-to-day life, like we see right now with inflation and everything going up, it's really hard to save up money. Like, it's already hard saving up for the 3% down payment already if you qualify for that, you know, the conventional. And so, like, to add 20% too, like, that's a lot, you know. But to some folks, giving up that 20% appreciation might be worth it, because at the end of the day, they provided security for their family. They got a home now that they're planning on living there forever, and that was their goal from the beginning. So we're not bashing on it. We're just saying it is really not for everyone, because sometimes we get clients that go through that appreciation class and they're like, wait, what? I'm giving away my appreciation? I'm like, yeah, that's how it works. So people, they get to that class and that's when they're like, nope, I'm canceling. Yeah, remember, it's a voucher still, so you still have to get chosen to use it too. So
let's be strategic out there and make sure that you qualify for a regular loan.
okay, Chi fans, you guys have a good one. Thank you for tuning in. Don't forget to like, share, and comment what your thoughts are about this program. But other than that, we're gonna let you guys go. Peace out.